The Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K has an unnecessarily long name, but the camera packs a lot for the £1,100 price tag. So if you're looking to upgrade your camera or buy your first camera, is the Pocket 4K worth it? We've been putting one to the test for the past few weeks, and in this video we're going to be reviewing it. Welcome to the Film Look. Thanks to Premium Beat for providing the music we used in this episode. We recommend you check them out whenever you need a great track for your film. Visit their royalty-free library to see what we mean. We've added a link in the description below. Just to say up top, Blackmagic did send us over the Pocket Cinema Camera 4K to review, but everything in this video is our honest opinion. With every piece of camera equipment we review, we always like to use it on a production and put it into a real world shooting condition. With the Pocket 4K, we have used it to shoot episode footage for this channel, which is something we do daily, and we have also used it to screen test our next short film. Since we have been shooting on the Sony a7S Mark I for about 2 years and use it to shoot everything, we'll be comparing the Pocket 4K to that when we can. Today's video is certainly a user review and not a spec review. I will be talking about the features that matter the most to filmmakers, but if you want to learn more about the cameras and the specs, head over to the Blackmagic website. I've added a link in the description below. The Blackmagic interface has got to be one of the easiest to use. With having a 5-inch touchscreen, the layout and the buttons are big, it's easy to flick through and adjust the settings. When shooting with the camera, the record button is big and in a normal place, unlike the Sony a7S record button. In fact, the Pocket 4K has 2 record buttons, but I'm not sure why this one is here. To change the settings on the camera, you can select them on the screen and change them there, or you can use the jog wheel, which is on the front. On the top of the camera, you have the most common buttons to change the ISO, shutter and white balance, and you can change the f-stop with the jog wheel. Also, you have 3 custom function buttons which you can set to things like false color, zebras, grids, safe errors, and also to turn the LUT on and off, which is essential if you're shooting with a flat picture profile. With this camera, you have a bunch of recording formats to choose from, which is great to have if you're going to be recording a bunch of different projects like films and YouTube videos. If you're shooting a short film, you're most likely going to be shooting in RAW. You might as well, since you have the camera. With RAW, you get the greatest level of control over your image in post-production. You can change the white balance, you have more information to recover the highlights, color grade, and noise reduction. More on post-production later on. You can record on an SD card, CFast card, and an external SSD. If you want to shoot at the highest quality, you'll need to buy an external SSD to record on. The SSD and CFast card cut out after about 30 seconds because of the size of recording RAW. In fact, the best value for money and capacity is an external SSD, as you can get a 500GB SSD card for around about £120. A 128GB CFast card will cost you 2 or 3 times more depending on where you buy it. We have a 512GB SSD. At 4K RAW lossless, you get 15 minutes of record time. For us, this file size and record time is unmanageable, but the camera can also record in 4K RAW 3:1 and 4:1, which is a reduced quality, but you get a much longer record time and there's not a great difference in quality. When shooting a film, we'll probably shoot at RAW 4:1. Like us, if you shoot on a daily basis and make YouTube videos, shooting RAW is again unmanageable in terms of hard drive capacity and an unnecessary level of image clarity, but the camera also comes with a few different flavors of ProRes codecs and quality levels to shoot at. For a recent video on our channel, we recorded the footage with a mixture of RAW and ProRes at different qualities and it all mixed together quite well. I even turned a 4K RAW lossless clip into a GIF for social media. That video was 5 minutes long with a total project size of 131GB. On average, other videos of that length when shot on the Sony a7S have a total project size of 20GB. For YouTube videos, we'd probably shoot at a ProRes of 422 as it has a good balance between quality and file size. We pre-lit our short film 60 seconds and tested out the Pocket 4K. We recorded at a number of different formats and resolutions, so flick through them to compare. The camera has a 3.5 microphone and headphone port. You can plug in a full-size HDMI cable. It has a 12-volt power port so you can run the camera from a wall socket, a USB-C port for the external hard drive, and a mini XLR port. This allows you to plug in a mini XLR to full XLR cable into the camera. This is a great feature to have as you don't have to buy extra equipment like a smart rig converter box, which we currently use. When we tested this out and monitored the audio through the headphones whilst recording, the audio was delayed from the video and sounded like this. The footage was all in sync in the final clip, but it made it impossible to monitor the audio whilst recording. Hopefully this can be fixed in a firmware update because it is a big problem. This camera is an investment. You will need to build up the camera to be able to use it efficiently when shooting, but this is very similar to other cameras like the Sony a7S. First thing you'll want to get after the camera is a cage, as it will help you mount other accessories onto the camera. The cage we have is from Small Rig. It comes with a top handle, HDMI clamp and a hard drive mount. We have a full review of the cage coming in the next video, so if you're watching from the future, you can find it here. The battery life of the camera sucks, and the LPE6 batteries will last around about 30 minutes, so you're either going to have to buy a bucket load of the LPE6 batteries or work out some form of external battery solution. We have used a dummy battery with our DIY MPF mount, but the results weren't great. A battery at 100% would drop straight down to 60 or 40%. This could have just been our battery setup, but if you're looking to buy the Pocket 4K, look at some external battery setups, especially ones that run through the 12-volt port on the side of the camera. Like I said earlier, external SSDs are the best option to record on. This will allow you to mount one and not just have it dangle down. If you're going to be shooting all day, you will need to buy a few SSDs to get you through a whole day's shoot. The other option would be to have a computer nearby and copy the footage off the card. If you have to do this while shooting a film, you'll want to have someone whose sole job it is to ingest the footage off the card and onto the computer. This person is normally called a DIT. Most of the time it's difficult to find someone to record good sound on your film, so having a DIT is a little bit of a luxury for indie filmmakers. If you want to shoot RAW, you're going to need hard drive space for your computer, but the next investment is going to be having a computer that can handle the workflow of RAW editing. To process the footage, you're going to be going through DaVinci Resolve, which is an amazing program for being free. I'm not going to be going into any more detail about the RAW editing workflow, but I've linked to a video here which does. In the past, I have edited a film we shot in RAW on a laptop that could not handle the workflow, and it was very difficult to play back the edit and be creative. So some advice: make sure your computer system can handle the workflow before buying this camera. We have good computers that can handle the RAW editing workflow, and I've linked to the 2 videos below of the 2 computers that we use if you want to check them out. If you're looking for Resolve videos, check out Isaac's channel here. He has a bunch on Resolve and some other great videos too. Shooting RAW will give you the greatest level of control over your image compared to shooting H.264 on the Sony or even ProRes on the Pocket 4K. The image will be sharper, you'll be able to correct mistakes a lot easier by having the ability to adjust the ISO and white balance in post. There are just fewer compromises you need to make when trying to achieve the film look you want. So after all that, who is this camera for? We have used it to shoot episode footage for this channel and to test shoot our up and coming short film. For our YouTube videos, we wouldn't really use this camera as we make 8 videos per month and the file sizes are just too high, and we will be buying new hard drives every single month. To shoot a film, which we do 2 to 3 times a year, we wouldn't mind the extra production expense you would need to spend on hard drives versus the quality of the image you get, since every film is a one-off. If you need the highest level of image quality because you're shooting video production work for a client and are making money from it, the Pocket 4K is a very good option. Any negatives that I've said about this camera or the extra investment you have to make to be able to use the camera is all thrown away because of the price of the Pocket 4K. At the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, the price. The image quality you get is amazing, and in order to get the same quality from another camera, you're going to need to spend £10,000 plus. If you're looking to buy this camera, just remember the extra investment you need to make in terms of accessories, hard drive storage, and a computer that can handle the workflow. But for £1,100, you get a lot of camera for the price. In the description below, I've linked to a few different articles that go into a lot more detail about the specs of the camera, so if you're thinking about buying this camera, I would highly recommend reading them. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up or down if you don't, and remember, achieve it one shot at a time.